Hey everybody, welcome back to the Workin Man's Whiskey. I'm Bobby. Today's review I'd like to do is Jim Beam Rye Pre-Prohibition style rye whiskey. I've done several Jim Beam products on here, anything from the regular Jim Beam White to the Knob Creek products, also Jim Beam. That's part of the small batch line. Done Baker's. I've done Old Overholt, which is one of my, if not my favorite rye whiskeys out there. It's been around a long time, 1810, and it was enjoyed by names like Doc Holliday, Abraham Lincoln, Mark Twain, just to name a few. So pretty historical stuff, and I love that one. I mean, it's $17 at the store right now, and worth every penny to me. So I actually went to the store today with the intention of getting Basil Hayden's bourbon, which is also a Jim Beam product, part of their small batch line, and they were all out. But on the same shelf, I saw Jim Beam Rye Pre-Prohibition style rye whiskey here, and I like Jim Beam's products a lot. Love rye whiskey, so thought it was meant to be. So here we are, guys. Jim Beam has been around since 1795, and that's a long time. They're on their I believe their seventh generation right now. Fred No is still doing things with Jim Beam, who is Fred No is Jim Beam's great grandson. So pretty cool to still have it in the family, and they're continuing to do great things. I know this is, one of those mass-produced whiskeys. You see Mila Kunis on the commercials now. But you know what? Mass-produced or not, I still enjoy Jim Beam products overall. I think they're very good. And thought this was a good one to do since we hadn't done it yet. So anyway, this one, I believe, when they first came out with Jim Beam Rye, it was an 80 proof, 40% ABV product. But they kind of redid the recipe. This one here, it's the Pre-Prohibition style rye. They've raised it to 45% ABV and 90 proof. And they say that this recipe that they use for this one is one of the oldest recipes from the Beam family. So, whether that's totally accurate or not, I don't know, but I like the sound of that. I like to try the old style recipe bourbons and rye whiskeys. So let's read from this label here. It says, from the heart of Kentucky, Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Rye. Rye whiskey is made for those who take their whiskey seriously. See if it says anything over here. It says, Jim Beam Rye is a pre-prohibition style whiskey aged in new charred white oak barrels to 90 proof. A distinctly dry spiced rye with a long soft finish, making this classic all-American spirit the perfect choice for any whiskey cocktail. And that may be, but you guys know I'm a straight whiskey kind of guy. I do appreciate a cocktail every now and then, Manhattan, old-fashioned, several of them, but let's just stick with what we usually do here. So, a little pour. Not sure how old this is. Being a Jim Beam straight whiskey, it's probably at least 4 years old. I wouldn't guess that it's probably a whole lot more than that, but 4 years is good enough for me. So, take a look at this, and it's a pretty light color, guys. Not a whole lot of darkness or barrel char in there, which doesn't really mean a whole lot, but it's a pretty light colored rye whiskey there. So let's take a little nose. And on the nose, it definitely, to me, has more of a bourbon profile than a rye profile. It doesn't have that distinct, really heavy rye spice on the nose there. You're getting caramel, little nuttiness on the nose there too, guys. little bit of wood, definitely a little bit of vanilla in there, a little bit of spice, a little bit of rye spice, but not a whole lot. So let's take a taste. And on the palate, that rye comes through definitely a lot more. Still not one of the heavier rye influenced whiskeys that we've had, but definitely tastes the rye more, on the palate than you can smell on the nose. Definitely got some toffee caramel type notes in there. Definitely some nuttiness. That vanilla comes through pretty strong actually. It's pretty good vanilla flavor in there, in a good way. Not too sweet, but definitely has that nice balanced sweetness with the spice and wood as well. Jim Beam products, I also like the kind of grainy note, that kind of a hay note that we get in a lot of their products, and that's definitely there too. Let's take another taste. And I gotta say, guys, I really like the balance here. I really do. It's definitely got some spice, but it's not overpowering. It's got that sweetness, also not overpowering, but it's there. And what they've done, guys, this to me, for a 90 proof whiskey, 90 proof is kind of where I like to be with my whiskeys, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of bite for a 90 proof whiskey. I would have guessed that this was, low 80s or so. But they've done a very good job at balancing this one. I hadn't had the Jim Beam rye before they changed up the recipe and brought it back as a 90 proofer instead of an 80 proofer. But it's very good. I'm really enjoying this one. So still hope to review Basil Hayden's at some point, as well as a couple others. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know. Back to this one real quick. For a rating, I really, really, really like this one. I think it's a very good whiskey. I'm actually, as much as I like Jim Beam products, I wasn't sure really what to expect with this one, and I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. I was ready for, just kind of an average rye whiskey, with just kind of a one-dimensional type rye whiskey. And this one is actually very, I'm pleasantly surprised. It does have that rye in there, but, you can taste several different flavors. It's not just a bunch of spice in your face, which I can appreciate. I do like that spice, that rye spice a lot, in some of the other whiskeys that we've had. But every once in a while, it's, some of these rye whiskeys start to taste a lot alike, especially the ones that, get their rye from the same places. I think we've reviewed a few of those. You guys know what I'm talking about. But this one here, kind of stands alone as far as, its identity. It doesn't taste like, doesn't necessarily taste like the other ones that we've tried out, which is good. It's got its own identity, and I would give this one a solid, I'd give this one an 88 out of 100. I think that's a fair rating. And definitely recommend this to you guys. This was $21.99 before tax. About $24 out the door. Well worth it. And definitely one of my favorites here in the Working Man's Whiskey. I think this is a very good sipper. Be good in cocktails too, probably, but I'm gonna enjoy this one just neat. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys have a good week. Hopefully it goes by a little bit quicker than last week does, especially for what I was dealing with last week. But I look forward to talking to y'all soon. And till next time, cheers.